Okay, I just want to talk about the death of Ramon Castro the other day. He's the older brother of Fidel Castro and Raul Castro. There's a lot of very interesting numbers. Also, you have Barack Obama that's going to be visiting Cuba he's the first sitting president to visit Cuba in 88 years. There's been a lot of JFK, Abraham Lincoln, Civil War, civil rights, lots of them type of themes that have been just pushed in our face in the media, which I believe is leading up to the assassination of Barack Obama. Maybe it will happen in Cuba. There's some interesting numbers around this, but who knows? They've been foreshadowing it over and over and over. Maybe they're faking us out with it. Obama is the 43rd person to be president, but he's labeled as the 44th president, the kill number. So it could be something to the next president, and they're just building this all up. But anyway, let's check out the numbers and whatnot in this story. So Ramon Castro dies on 2/23. Tons of stuff with this. The word Masonic in Jewish gematria equals 223. Skull and crossbones equals 223. The synagogue of Satan equals 223. He also dies at the age of 91. 91 has been an elimination death type number that I've been talking about since the beginning of August. I've never really noticed it with anything positive, so, now this guy dies at the age of 91. And I'll talk more about 91 as we go along here. But anyway, CNN always does this. Look at the video they give you about it. It's 2 minutes, 32 seconds long. In other parts of the world, they write the date as 23-2, like 232. So just interesting, he dies on 23-2. CNN puts up a 2 minute, 32 second video. And like I said, Barack Obama is going to be visiting Cuba, and he'll be the first active or sitting president in 88 years to visit Cuba. I mean, just interesting, too, along the whole lines of the JFK, nuclear war, civil rights theme they've been running. We had the Cold War, JFK, and whatnot. It all goes together. Crazy that Obama, out of nowhere, is going to go to Cuba now. So, Obama's going to go to Cuba 27 days after the death of Ramon Castro. Interesting, in gematria, the word Cuba equals 27. I also wrote these in here, just whatever, put them in there and saw what they added up to. Obama assassinated in Cuba equals 69 and also 213. World War III equals 69. So just interesting with all the nuclear war type stuff and the Cold War. Also 213, the first day of Lupercalia that has just been foreshadowed over and over and over, is 213. And you just had Antonin Scalia, who died on the 44th day, 213. Lupercalia in gematria equals 44. The word kill equals 44. It's the 44th day. Obama's the 44th president. So just interesting. There's been a lot of foreshadowing with Obama and Lupercalia. Anyway, what stuck out to me the most was that Pope Francis also visited Cuba this year. On his trip to the United States, he went to Cuba first. And he went to Cuba on 9/19, September 19th. So the mirrors 91-19. Interesting that Ramon Castro dies at the age of 91. And remember, the power went out in the World Series in Game 1, or the broadcast went out, and it went out at 9:19 p.m., and it came back on at 9:23 p.m. And I didn't really think about it at the time, about the Pope being in Cuba. I associated it with Queen Elizabeth, because 9/19 is the 262nd day of the year, and there was a ton of 6226 connections with Queen Elizabeth. I mean, this is just a short few here, but she became queen on 2/6 of 1952. She was 25, so even the 25 mirror, but she turned 26, became queen on 2/6 the same year. She was also coronated on 6/2, 62 years ago. And it's really funny because one of my very first YouTube videos was all about this number, 919. YouTube was copyright striking my video. The video was about Baron Munchausen and then Ramona Quimby, age 8. And what's interesting, I put it up on 919 of 2014. They gave me a strike for the movie clip or whatever. I fixed it, put it up the same day, had no problems with it. Within 177 days later, they gave me another copyright strike on March 15th. So I fixed it again. Then they waited again to give me a strike on June 8th. So it was just super interesting. I noticed I couldn't figure out why they were striking my video at like just weird times. If I fixed it, why would they wait 177 days and whatnot? But interesting, I put it up on this day, which is the 262nd day. March 15th, 177 days later. 6/26 or June 26th is the 177th day. So it was all about the 62/26 stuff. Then once again, they copyright struck it on June 8th, which is 262 days after the original date that I put it up. And you can check it out if you want. I put a little link in my blog here. Let's see what it's called really quick. YouTube coding, whatever. You can search that if you want to watch this video. It's really long, but I mean, it was really strange at the time. It even had to do with the number 88 a lot. I was talking a lot about time travel and whatnot around that time, and the number 88. And interesting, it'll be Obama is the first president in 88 years to visit Cuba. Also, Ramona equals 26 and 62. Age 8 equals 62. 1926 to 1988 is 62 years. 1962 to 1988 is a span of 26 years. So these numbers go together. Even funnier is that the original date that I made the video, I didn't even know about date numerology at the time, but I just did the date numerology, 9 plus 19 plus 20 plus 14. It even adds up to 62 on the 262nd day of the year. But look, on the Ramon Castro death on CNN, one of the little things on the side was this: 26 photos of people we've lost in 2016. And the first one was just like a weird picture or whatever. It wasn't a person. So Ramon Castro, according to CNN, is the 26th most important person to die this year. Also interesting, the 26th prime is 101. I've mentioned a lot about Philadelphia and the beginning of the United States, the Declaration of Independence. The Fresh Prince is from there. I talked a lot about Prince Charles being the Fresh Prince and whatnot. So interesting. 26 prime 101 Philadelphia equals 101. Also interesting, if you go from 2/6 of 2016 to the day Obama's going to be in Cuba, it is a span of 44 days. It's also 6 weeks and 2 days. So 2/6 is 6 weeks and 2 days away. The date numerology of February 6th or 2/6 is also adds up to 44. Obama, the 44th president. Obama's even 54 years old right now. 1954 and 2016 is 62 years ago. 1962 is 54 years ago. Interesting too with the 54 stuff. Ramon Castro died 5 months and 4 days after 9/19 and he died on the 54th day of the year, 2/23. So 5 months, 4 days after Pope Francis visits Cuba, he dies on the 54th day of the year. Also, the day Pope Francis visited Cuba to the day that he died is 22 weeks and 3 days. He dies on 2/23, 22 weeks, 3 days after 9/19. 9/19 to the day that Obama is going to Cuba is a span of 6 months, 2 days. Also, Ramon Castro, he died 163 days before Obama's 51st birthday. So Obama's 54 right now. But 163 days is also 5 months and 12 days. In this 5 months, 12 days, there was a lot of stuff that went back to the Philadelphia train wreck this year. that happened on May 12th, 512. I'll mention that a little bit more in a little bit here, but in Gematria, train derailment equals 163, just like the days here. Barack Hussein Obama equals 163. Obama assassinated equals 163. I also made a video a while back about how maybe Obama and Biden will both be assassinated at the same time or something, and then Paul Ryan would become the next president. Paul Davis Ryan, his full name in Gematria equals 163. He's also the 54th Speaker of the House. He just started on October 29th, 2015. If you go to the day that Obama's going to Cuba, it's a span of 144 days. This number all over political assassinations. All to do with the number 44 as well. If you write out the word 44 in Gematria, it adds up to 144. If you write out April 4th, like 44, it adds up to 144. Tons of stuff with it. Martin Luther King died that day. The first president ever to die in office died that day. Lots of stuff with it, but moving on here. So, September 19th, if you write that out in Gematria, it even adds up to 91. And I've previously mentioned this a lot in regards to James Garfield, the 20th president of the United States, who was assassinated in 1881. Interesting, the mirror's 1881. But what's interesting about this guy is we've talked all about the foreshadowing of the Philadelphia train wreck. This guy was shot at a train station, and then on July 2nd, but he didn't die until September 19th, 919. And there's just been multiple train stories this year, especially the Philadelphia train wreck, which, interesting too, on that same day, there was a Nepal earthquake, and it was an aftershock of the one that happened in April. And originally it was reported that 9,000 people were killed and 23,000 people were injured. This Philadelphia train wreck happened at 9:23 p.m. It was going 106 miles an hour. The engine number was 601, the mirrors 106, 601. On the Gregorian calendar, 10/6, October 6th, is the same as 9:23 Julian. Also, you had the movie Trainwreck that came out. Trainwreck equals 122 in Gematria. It had LeBron James in it. LeBron James in Jewish Gematria equals 923. The movie starts when Amy Schumer's 9 years old. The rest of the movie takes place 23 years later. Then Pope Francis came to the United States on his 923rd day as Pope. He went to the White House at 923 on 923. Interesting, Trainwreck equals 122, just like Pope Francis. Also, the day the Philadelphia train wreck happened was 5/12. It was the 132nd day of the year. If you write out Obama assassinated in Cuba March 22nd, it equals 132. That'll be his second and last day in Cuba, so interesting. Also, Ramon Castro died 132 days after his 91st birthday on October 14th. Some other interesting 132s here. Catholic Church, 132. The Broncos just won. White Bronco, 132. Wild Horses, 132. There's a lot of Chicago Bear coding. Interesting, Chicago Bears in Gematria equals 91. But the movie The Revenant with the big bear attack, that equals 132. It talks a lot about the X theme. Jared Leto's the Joker in the movie Suicide Squad, that even has the two X's on the front cover. And then it was coded to the Chicago Bears of 85, who won Super Bowl 20, which is Super Bowl XX. Chicago is the Windy City 132. Antonin Scalia, or however you pronounce that, equals 132. And he died on Lupercalia, which can also be written as 13-2. Kanye West begging for money and all that in the news lately. He just put out his new album, The Life of Pablo, which equals 132. The day that Julius Caesar died, if you read it out, 132. He died in 44 BC. Princess Diana, World War II equals 132. If you write out 132, it equals 266. Pope Francis is the 266th Pope went to the White House on 9/23, the 266th day of the year.